to the What Now podcast. This is Darryl Elliott, and I'm here with our dream team, Regi McClurkin, Myneca Ojo. Today, Archbishop Chase will not be with us today. Our best to him. And we are thankful for you joining us and sharing with us, talking about the topics that mean the most to all of us and what do we do next in light of them. But before we get started, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to all of our channels here on Believe Broadcasting. We have some wonderful podcasters and some more content that's coming to you. And tell somebody that we're here. Make sure they tune in because we're trying to break down the things that maybe you don't have time to really look at or to deal with because you're putting food on the table and you're dealing with life. And it's our job in our separate spaces that we occupy because it is part of what we do. So we want to make sure we have these discussions and to alert you, and then we can talk about viable solutions. Hey, family, how you doing today?
Hey, Brother Darryl.
Hello.
Myneca, so good to see you.
Back in the house today.
Back in the house. Back in the house.
It's a lot going on, folks.
Oh, my
it's
God.
A lot. Oh, man.
Newsworthy day. Newsworthy.
It is today is a newsworthy day. Usually we, actually this podcast is going to jump the last recording. I was going to release the last recording, but I think I have to jump it today.
Yes. Okay.
Because of what's going on. And we're going to start with the passage of Trump's, as he likes to call it, his one big beautiful bill. But it has been, I heard that Chuck Schumer held it hostage and now it's been renamed. So I need to look that up. What he came up with.
Okay.
It's the big ugly bill now, I believe.
Yes. It's the
what do they call it?
Big ugly bill.
We're calling it the big ugly bill. But what we need to discuss is its impact. So what has happened, for those who do not know, that it has passed now in the Senate by one vote, J.D. Vance being the tiebreaker. And Senator Lisa Murkowski, she does it to us every time. She comes out with these long speeches of compassion and how horrible things are, but she secured a special deal just for Alaska, who she represents, and everybody else is going to get the shaft. And then she came out and said, this is a horrible bill and I feel bad for everybody. And she still cast the vote in favor of the bill. So we go through this every cycle with Lisa Murkowski.
Every cycle.
But nevertheless, I think it's important that you know what's going on. So I'm going to put up a couple graphics. First of all, let's talk about the overall impact. The overall impact of this bill is that it will increase our total debt by $3 trillion. Okay, the CBO, which is the Congressional Budget Office, they estimate that it would add $551 billion in interest costs, and it will add $2.4 trillion directly to the deficit over the next decade, and the national debt will be, as of June 6th, it is at $36.2 trillion.
Trillion.
I am old enough to remember when Bill Clinton actually balanced the budget and we had a surplus.
Yes.
And we always hear that Republicans run up the deficit and Democrats always have to fix it. But that's the first graphic. Y'all want to tackle that, or should I go on to the next slide? Which one y'all want to do? Y'all want to talk about the debt?
Yeah, let's talk about the debt for and then we go to the next one.
Yeah.
So
we're
okay. I mean, it's a huge number, obviously. To most people, I guess to simplify it is that when we have a debt like that, that means that we typically have to borrow money, right, from other countries or to secure that debt. And so that makes us more indebted to these other nations, and puts us in a position where our credit worthiness is not as strong.
Right.
And just it doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to me, given the fact that we have so many tariffs that are out there now. It doesn't give us a lot of bargaining power. It doesn't give us an opportunity to really even borrow money, because a lot of people that we're borrowing from, we've either placed tariffs on them, or and so are they going to loan money to us, for this interest rate? But at the end of the day, what this does is just redirect the funds that are collected from the American government away from the people that it's supposed to support. And typically that includes, those safety nets that we typically have in place, which obviously that's what they went after with Medicaid, and taking people off Medicaid, as if to say that Medicaid recipients that are, I'm not sure if there's a such thing as a Medicaid recipient and an illegal immigrant. Okay. I do not believe an illegal immigrant, whatever illegal is, someone undocumented to be in this country, can receive
exactly
Medicaid.
right. They can.
I do not believe that they can receive that. I do not believe that they can receive SNAP benefits.
Exactly.
So you have to be a part of the system. You have to have either a green card, be a naturalized citizen, or a citizen to receive these. Now, what you can do, I believe, a child can go into a school system and be educated as an undocumented citizen.
Not for long. The way things are going.
but not for long. So I want to make it very clear that the majority of these quote unquote illegals, which I will correctly say they are possibly undocumented citizens, they're just undocumented in the preparation stages to become full citizens. You got to start somewhere, right?
Right.
People don't come here to be illegal because they're human beings. And we have a statue in the middle of Manhattan Bay that says, "Give us your tired, your poor." All of your immigrants come to this country. This is what this country is made of.
Well, France called and said they want their statue back. So.
I swear to God, I believe it to be true. If they want it back, they probably do want it back. And so this illegal thing, the fact is, Condoleezza Rice made this statement. She said that people love to unite against one cause. And unfortunately, people always tend to unite and err to the side of the negative as opposed to the positive.
Right.
So, a civil society puts us in a position where we correct ourselves and redirect our energies so that we are more positive and we're more civil toward each other. This administration here, Trump has done, because I have seen, I've been looking at LinkedIn, believe it or not, and seeing the comments about this bill. Way to go. It finally passed. As this is some kind of football game and everything. But let me tell you one thing. There is one category I will tell everybody, we are one paycheck away.
Yes.
From getting Medicaid. All I have to do, most of us, if we lose our job, if we're in the working world, if we lose our job, we lose our benefits.
Yes.
And every single one of us could walk out that door today, get hit by a bus, and be without work for 7 to 10 or 11 months in rehab. You will not have a fail safe, and you'll have to go to Medicaid, and you'll have to go to a SNAP program. So I'm not sure what people are looking at or anything. Or if you have a disabled child.
Yes.
If you have a disabled child, they may be, until they can get on Social Security, and be diagnosed, and that takes 6 months to a year, they may have to be on a Medicaid program. You could
be making a good 6-figure income and be one medical situation away from
that's all it would take. That's all it would take. That's all it would
from
take.
being in need of these programs.
Right.
What is, go ahead, Reggie.
The other thing with it, see, I'm looking at it as far as the full picture, not with the glass being half empty, half full. I'm looking at the fullness of it all. To me, it's all just a money grab because at the end of the day, this does afford, that 1% at the top to enrich themselves. It's not about saving no money. And like you said it, Darryl, historically it's always been the Republicans will run up, the deficit, and then we get the Democrats, as much as they, don't do some things they need to do. They typically always rein in some of the costs and get it to come back. What I don't seem to understand, and I need you all to just, like I said, keep enlightening me and keep, sharing your wisdom with me. I just don't understand why people just don't have basic common sense anymore. You said it, Myneca, going on LinkedIn, I've seen some of those comments as well. Right. I don't know how people can be so happy that a bill has passed. Well, it's just passed the Senate because it's still not, it has to go through the House. And so I'm praying that the people in the House will shut this down once involved, because to know that now people are being and I just saw before we came on earlier today, how Trump's ultimate plan is he's not just going after immigrants. He is trying to get rid of American citizens now.
Yeah.
He's getting rid of people who have never had to get a green card. They were born here. They've been here for generations, but they don't look like the European white males or the white race. Mm-hmm. He is up to get any and everybody. He just said, I just saw the article. I just saw the clip on MSNBC. He doesn't care. He wants to get rid of. He's calling them all just bad people. We just have too many bad people here, and he's the one that determines who's the bad person. So
is that not the pot calling the kettle?
And I can't compare. Like I said, I'm like you, Darryl. With just having a master's, I haven't gone beyond a master's degree, but I can't understand common sense to. How do you not be able to understand that, like you just said, this is the kettle calling the pot black, and here you are convicted for. He keeps saying we're just getting rid of the criminals. What the heck is he? And then the fact that his own wife got here on an Einstein out of all the grants that she could get to come here. That's reserved for people coming to this country because they can contribute something, because they are very intellectually, profound. They have accomplished something major. And that's the way that she got in here to get her little, rite of passage, so to speak. But when it comes to that 36.2 trillion, whatever it is, our great grandchildren are going to be burdened with this debt now. And that's what I was thinking about. What you were saying, Myneca, the fact that, with the Medicaid and stuff like that, one little situation, and I'm not talking about a major situation. You used the analogy of a bus. Mm-hmm. You can have, like I said, my wife's aunt, the one who just died, was perfectly fine. Everything is good. And a simple blood clot took her out of here, and now the bills are coming in. That's going to be over, $200,000-$300,000 just from being in, the emergency room, and then being in the rehabilitation and all that other kind of stuff. But I don't understand why we the people, how and why is it that with just what we've seen in the last 7 months since this fool went in there, well, 6 months, 6.5, whatever it is, since January 20th.
Either way, too long.
It's too long. And I'm just so sick. Every day, like I said, I'm trying to get away from it because what's this all? Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. Because every day I'm seeing these Latinos, Hispanics, and Mexicans now talking about how, and the lady I saw the video of the group that recorded that song. We're gonna go Trump. And
I'm gonna play that one day.
He deported them, and now we can't believe we were all for Mr. Trump. And I'm gonna be like, the man told you what he was gonna. Like I said, y'all gotta pray for Reggie, because
see,
I'm getting ready to just, like I said, I'll be on the beach in Tahiti with something with a little umbrella in it and just sipping. Because with this kind of debt, I mean, we're losing money. I'm losing money. I've lost so much money with the 401k plans. My wife, all her years as being in the school system, stuff like that, we're seeing all these losses, and they're still trying to proclaim this man as being, the best thing for this country. And
well,
I can't say that because we're broadcasting.
So yeah, and I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but in hindsight,
mm-hmm.
we need to really look at this, because that same type of behavior has been going on for a long time. It's been going on locally, especially if you've been in these majority. I just hate I don't want to put race in it, but I have to put race in it, unfortunately.
Right.
But only because I've lived in Pennsylvania, roughly around 15 years, and it's the first only northern state I've ever lived in, and it's probably one of the most racist states I've ever lived in. And
I remember Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Alabama in between.
And then Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, they're just saturated, but they still have those influences,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But when we talk about, just as Obama and Michelle Obama talk about, when you put us all in the same room and we start having the conversations, you begin to realize that people aren't really as smart as they think they are, and they're not really putting down any major.
No, they're not.
Any.
I end up in those same rooms, and it's astounding what you.
It's extremely mediocre in nature, and I have the contrast because I've worked in Washington D.C. area, Baltimore, Austin, and Tulsa, and then here. And so that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to go into that. But all I can say,
I think we all have limited parameters on this conversation today.
Yeah, we have. The mediocrity has just now federalized.
Yes, it has federalized.
What we've been experiencing. Like, they'll sit there and they'll go in a room and this person is just, this person is, oh my God, they're so amazing. They're so transformative. And they've done nothing. But that is white supremacy. I will say this much. That's white supremacy. That you believe that especially as a white male, that you can say something.
Yes.
And it's going to be absolute truth. And we're going to absolutely all fall in line and believe what you've said. I have been in those spaces so many times where they've been so dead wrong. They have just straight up lied.
Exactly.
Yes. And it wasn't true. It wasn't transformative. And you're dealing with below mediocrity at best. But if that's the person that they want to put up and hold on the pedestal, then the expectation is that everyone follows suit.
Exactly. Well, see, I can say, as one who has to engage around the 1%, and I'll say the 1 to the 20%. I'll put it that way.
Right.
That this is all about money. It's all about their money. There are some of those out there that are like, I would say, like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, that have acknowledged that their wealth is so much that it doesn't make sense that one person have this kind of money.
Exactly.
They have. I will give them credit where it's due. They have publicly come out and acknowledged that. I surfaced an old video of Warren Buffett sitting down on ABC News with his secretary and talking about the tax.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw
the tax situation and how he pays. I had of course, I had an argument with someone in MAGA. I said Warren Buffett pays less in the aggregate taxes than his secretary pays. Of course, because of limited mental resources, he said, "Oh, you obviously don't understand anything or you don't study." I said, "Well, my dear friend, do you understand what the word aggregate means? Do you understand that this is in comparison based upon if these were on two equal playing fields? If you would put them together, apples to apples, he would be paying an egregious amount lower than what she pays." And the point is that now we're getting to what people don't know is that these cuts, see, the last Trump cuts were for 10 years. They're about to expire.
Right, exactly.
This one is to make them permanent.
Permanent, exactly.
So we don't understand what the big impact of this is going to be. But I have a slide for that. so let's bring this up because we got to see what's going on here. So we have we have another one that we need to think about here. Okay, so we have where new work requirements that what they want to consider an able-bodied person. To me, I interpret that to be anybody that's in a wheelchair with a motor. That's what they think. So any able-bodied person, Medicaid recipients 19 to 64, it's going to affect them. I think it's 20 hours work week. States must conduct Medicaid eligibility redeterminations at least every 6 months for all recipients. So renewal is going to be a nightmare for people. Yeah. So if you're on Medicaid, and let's understand that Medicaid is for those who are the working poor. Many times they are people who just don't make enough to be able to afford health care. It removes undocumented migrants from Medicaid eligibility. There's a public health implication to that because that could mean that people may not get vaccinated as they need to, and now you're dealing with an anti-vax administration. Get your mask. That's all I'm telling you. Get your mask. Get your stuff. Because wait till that comes out of left field. It increases copays. So if you already, so then you're going to be paying more if you do have Medicaid, who make more than the federal poverty limit, and it increases the required Medicaid paperwork for income. Read the bottom of that there. I can't see it.
Residency verification.
Yeah, income verification.
Right, verification. Right.
So, go ahead, Myneca. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say with the increased copays for Medicaid recipients, because as far as I know, Medicaid is only afforded 100% to people that are not working, that have zero income coming in. But we also know that the Affordable Care Act, which is what is widely known as Obamacare, is an expansion of the Medicare coverage to include the working poor people, where they would pay a copay through a medical exchange to get this. So this is really an attack on reversing Obamacare, so that that those 86 million people, however many it is, will be taken off the rolls for this. So that would be the those that fall more than the federal poverty limit, which is way artificially low.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's artificially low. And so so what this does essentially for each state is that it's going to reverse Obamacare and people's ability to get medical coverage. But let me tell you, the Hill-Burton Act, which is an act which has not been overthrown yet, does require some hospitals that receive public funding to still take care of people that come through. And so, even though, and then secondly, if you're an immigrant or undocumented worker, you would not be able to apply for these services anyway. And so you will be using doctors, personal doctors that may support or advocate for a migrant community, or you will be using the public hospital system under the Hill-Burton Act, and that's routinely called emergency rooms. So now you have an additional strain on health systems in a way. But the fact is that this bill is bad all around because people don't have the managed care. They don't have the additional opportunity to get those annual exams that would catch possible illnesses that could be treated before it's too bad that they're going to an emergency room to get treated from something that's never been diagnosed. So it's a bad bill all around for humanity.
Exactly. And and the other thing, Darryl, when you read the second one for the eligibility redetermination every 6 months, that's going to add an astronomical cost as well, because if you have to do this for every recipient, every month, I mean, the states are going to be spending millions of dollars just trying to, make the calls or whatever process they come up with, just to, certify that this person is still eligible. But
the administrative nightmare.
It's going to be a nightmare. And down at the bottom it says increases the required paperwork. That's going to triple the paperwork just because they got to do this every 6 months. It's just it's going
to bog the system. Absolutely. It will. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's because it's looking like it's becoming an unfunded mandate.
Yes.
Yep. This is the end around to attack Obamacare because they can't put a direct attack on it. So this is the peripheral attack.
Exactly.
But look at the irony of that. Way back when Obamacare first did this, when he first went in, Trump went in 2016. Have we forgotten how he said he was going to have a plan that was so much better? And here it is, 9 years later, and we still don't see no daggone. 11 years later, because that was 9 years. That was 2000.
Well, this is the plan. Get rid of it.
Replace with what? I mean, so you got. What are people going to do when they can't even have any type of health care? They don't have anything that they can do to, get assistance. I mean, what kind of country are we living in now?
Well, like they say on the infomercials, wait, there's more. So
yeah.
So next slide.
This is crazy. I just can't.
So 8 million recipients could lose Medicaid coverage. Okay, according to the CBO.
8 million people. Think about that. 8 million people.
Yes.
Have no opportunity to get any type of assistance for their care just to stay alive.
Yes.
We've become a world nation.
Yes. And then it's going to cut SNAP food assistance roughly $230 billion over 10 years. That's going to be a lot of kids not receiving the benefits. School lunch programs are a part of that. So we're looking at that.
So they don't get no food at home, and then they don't get no food at school. So now you got another 100,000 kids around the country going to starve to death.
With inflation.
Oh, Jesus.
With inflation at the grocery market.
Exactly.
Right. So, but But I said this to my wife, and she reminds me. I say it to her every now and then. I said, we know one thing about Donald Trump is that there's no bank account that he can't dry out.
Oh yeah. That's a good one. That's true.
So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the desertization of America, basically.
Yeah.
These are the sustainability mechanisms that we have had to uphold basic society in a prosperous nation that has things in it that can create great poverty. If we don't understand how this nation works, we don't understand that America has a double-edged sword. America can create extreme wealth, but it's also capable of creating extreme poverty. So when FDR created what we call the social safety nets, we forget that he highly taxed the rich in the beginning to Social Security and all of the social safety programs. So and now we were just saying, the Democrats have been saying, and those who are independents like your Bernie Sanders are saying, just let everybody pay their fair share. That's the word they use. Right. Everybody pay their fair share, and everything is funded. As simple as that. I shared another graphic. Is that the combined wealth of the 1% is capable of wiping out poverty.
Yes.
So we know there's not a lack of money and resource in the nation. It just comes down to the will of the people wherever they sit. But it extends Trump's tax cuts, and it makes them permanent. So y'all think about that. So the rich get to get all of that transfer of wealth annually, perpetually. That's what they're going for.
Wow.
It fulfills Trump's campaign promise of no taxes on tips and no taxes on overtime work. But there has been a discussion as to that being even real in practice, because I think that there is a loophole. I can't remember the loophole about it, but there has been discussion about that. That's kind of up for debate as far as how beneficial that's going to actually be.
Exactly.
It provides $50 billion on here comes the wall again. The wall is back. So we get to build the wall that all the professional climbers have proven that it is not impenetrable. And it commits roughly $150 billion in defense spending for shipbuilding and the Golden Dome missile defense system. They want to. He's saying he wants to do a missile defense system like Israel has, which is used to intercept missiles. Which I think is a little bit of a abracadabra move, because we already have one of the greatest missile system in the world. So
exactly.
I really don't know what more we're doing there, because we already have all of the greatest capabilities in the world. So
just another way to siphon money off into his own coffers.
Yeah, that's gonna be a little break off for the defense contractor.
Oh, you know that, and it's ultimately end in his pocket, just like everything else. I mean, this is
not
crazy.
to mention this border wall. This border wall too is going to be a way. It's a construction project, so see all the construction people, gearing up to get down there.
Yeah, but they won't have any workers, Myneca, because the immigrants are going to be gone.
No, that was their.
That's going to go on forever, because your workforce is going to be greatly altered. And this is the insanity of the whole thing. You're going to create this environment where the immigrants are going to not show up.
Yeah.
And the current people in the U.S. are not flocking to these jobs any longer.
Oh, no.
Nor do they want them, because these kids are not as blue collar because they're computer kids. So now this nation is going to be at such a deficit against its competition, especially China being number one.
Exactly.
And now, how crazy is the world now? Now China is welcoming immigrants.
Right.
So the great secret society, China, is now sticking up their little statue. Give me your deported and persecuted, and telling them. And I've been seeing videos on social media promoting come to China.
Yeah.
If that's not trolling, what is?
Well, a lot of people taking advantage of it as well. So, there's a lot of expats that are, making moves to other countries because, it's a global economy now. So
it is. It is.
And
I said to my wife, I don't know how my kids are. I think my kids are going to be unbearable if we move to another country because their social life will be whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It may improve. It depends on where they go.
Good. Right.
It could. I mean, but people don't think about it. But where we are is not the world. And there are better places. There are better places to live, and China is everywhere. Remember, China has their footprint in Africa really strong, and Asia. Even in Central and South America, they have a lot of influence. I was in Costa Rica, maybe in 2018. I was there in 2018.
This is all because of the Trumpization of America.
Exactly. People are leaving. People are leaving.
And I have I actually have a neighbor of mine, someone that lived just right around the corner from me. Their whole family moved to Costa Rica, but I had to drive in Costa Rica on one of those Chinese highways, and I've been in the highway industry for a long time, with Turnpike and State Highway up in Maryland, and I was extremely impressed with the highway systems and the access to Wi-Fi.
Right. Exactly.
Just access the entire.
But that's because
very impressed.
That's because, see, China is an authoritarian nation with, in this case, a leader who is determined to have an advanced society. Versus we have an authoritarian that is determined to basically just suck money for himself.
Exactly.
So he's not thinking about, he's not really thinking about, he says make America great again, but that's not his goal. His goal is make me as rich as possible.
Exactly.
So even though we know China is authoritarian and there's no such thing as real free speech or things like that over there, because I deal with China all the time, but what they do is basically give them all they have a lot of conveniences now and modernization over there. Just don't say anything bad about the president. You don't speak out against the government. So that's the only that's the shaky thing about authoritarianism.
Right.
It depends on who the leader is. If you have a leader that says, "Hey, I want the country to be modern and great," he can just say it and it's done.
Exactly.
Here we are supposed to have free speech, freedom of expression, and all these things without consequence. Now we can't have a wannabe dictator, as people are calling them,
right?
And you can't fix anything because anything that happens in the next few years is a result of Biden. Exactly. Now we know Trump is going to slap his name on it. We know he's going to act like he did it. But I think some of us know well enough that he didn't.
Oh yeah.
Our problem now is now you're going to have too many poor people in America. Mm-hmm. You're going to actually have too many poor and in some cases sick people in the United States, and you won't be able to fill the holes with the immigrants, because this country has always needed immigrants. It's not like we've never needed immigrants in the United States. The United States has always operated off of the work of immigrants. So now we're now in double jeopardy because of lack of good leadership, no immigrant support. All of this is happening all at one time, and I think it's going to be too much of a shock for the system. So what we want to do is keep everybody informed about these things. We want you to kind of understand these things that are on the table, so that you can, start making some moves. I think this is the first time I said it this way on the podcast. You need to work on making some moves. I pray that a lot of you find wealth. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna pray that a lot of you find wealth over the next couple years with this administration, because the lines of public assistance are going to be shoddy. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess if this passes. Now, as of this recording, 20 or so people in the House are holdouts, 20 or so Democrats, and they can't lose any more than about 4, I think, or 3. But we always hear they're against it until they're for it. So we'll have to see how that.
Republicans or are you
the Republicans. Yeah.
Oh, okay, then.
Yeah. So they'll get up and get enough sound bites out about how horrible this is and that is, and then they'll cave, and then they'll say they fought the best they could.
What I understand about the bill and how it worked in the Senate, because they moved it to the Senate first. It's usually the other way around. But they moved it to the Senate because Senate has different rules, and it was a reconciliation bill where that they can make amendment changes throughout the bill, and then vote on the changes, and then vote on the full bill. Once it goes to the House doesn't have the same rules, so they'll have to vote on it as it is right now.
Exactly.
And just a special shout out, and say boo and shame on you to Lisa Murkowski, who did not, floundered at the last minute. To make this bill get out of the Senate. So only hope is right now is that when it moves to the House, that there's some pressure, and that we're doing something. We're calling our congressmen. I wish we had our number up, but please take the time, everyone here, to find out who their congressperson is, and tell them that you are not going to support House Bill 1 to go through, and this budget to go through, because this budget is detrimental to American. But most importantly, it's not going to probably impact us as much, because we're like on the other side of this. But impact your children as you move forward. Just as Star Wars, all the money that Reagan did spending on Star Wars is impacting us today. We have seen, these, we continue to live at the bane of this. So your 17 or 18-year-old child would be looking at you when they're 50 or in their 60 and saying, what the heck did you all do back then? You're not going to see the impact of this today or tomorrow. But when your kids are paying 7.65% of their money into Medicare system every year for the next 40 years, and then they turn out they ain't going to get a Social Security check, and they may have a medical plan to go to, because the fail-safe for Medicare, Medicare at that point, once you turn over 65, is not going to be there. Then what do you tell your children? Because remember, the decisions that you're making today is going to affect your children. And I know you don't care. You're only thinking about now.
Exactly.
A lot of people just thinking about now and what I can get. But let me tell you, every single day life is changing and something will happen to you that will make you realize that you
just remember those kids are going to have to take care of you. Just remember that.
So they may not be able to the nursing home,
and they may not can afford it. Yeah. So, and the quality of the nursing home will probably be way worse than it is now, because the funding to those nursing homes that supplement that what you can't pay for is going to be gone.
Right. And who's going to work in those nursing homes?
And who's going to work? That's right.
Yeah, they can barely get people to work in there now.
Exactly.
We live in a fragile society as it is, the way all of these policies are crafted all around corporate interest and things like that. Because let's be honest, the whole thing is because of who's getting their money, and so you're dealing with I mean, we could have free healthcare, but because there's too much money involved, you don't get it. Yeah, so we know that's what it is. I'm going to pivot right here, guys. I'm going to take us to a quick break, and then we're going to come back. Well, Diddy did it again. He may become a free man. We'll see. He may be free by the time this goes up, or he may be near free. But he did beat the rap.
He dodged
to some meaningful degree, and we're gonna talk about that after this. We'll be right back.
Right.
In a world where convenience meets diversity, there's one marketplace that stands out from the rest. Welcome to Firecart, your ultimate destination for all things shopping. At Firecart, we believe in bringing you not just the everyday essentials, but also a curated selection of cultural and handmade products that celebrate diversity and craftsmanship from around the globe. Whether you're looking for the latest gadgets, trendy fashion pieces, or one-of-a-kind artisanal creations, Firecart has you covered. Our diverse range of products caters to every taste and preference. But that's not all. Introducing our exciting affiliate program, Firestarters, where you have the opportunity to earn money by being a Firecart seller or by referring customers through your affiliate link with generous commissions. Imagine making passive income simply by sharing products you love with your friends and followers. With Firecart, it's not just about shopping, it's about building your own success story. And here's the kicker. During our exclusive launch period, you can take advantage of discounted pricing and special perks available only to our founding members. So why wait? Join the Firecart revolution today and experience shopping like never before. Firecart, where every purchase ignites a world of opportunity. For more information, visit firecart.shop. Your journey to endless possibilities starts now.
Firecart is a subsidiary of Diadem Technologies, and we are really excited. The Firecart revolution is on, and we're actually bringing on some really wonderful and new vendors, and also authors and artists are about to board our platform. So we look forward to that, and we want to make sure. And in this time, from our last conversation, you might want to start some kind of a business. So if you do come up with something that you can sell, consider Firecart. We'll help you get going. All right, guys. Well, the dealer is back, y'all.
Oh yeah.
He said he shot the sheriff, but he didn't shoot the deputy. He got P. Diddy got off of 3 of 5 charges. He did not get charged. He did not get convicted for the RICO charge, basically just for the prostitution across state lines. He's already served some time in, and it's his first offense. So therefore, his attorneys are asking for him to be released to go home. And he promised not to do it again, y'all. That's what the story is.
Yeah.
So the Fresh Oil Tour might be coming near you. My wife said don't call it fresh oil because that's for the Holy Spirit. So we'll call it the greasy.
Let it flow.
We'll call it the greasy old tour, whatever. But we do feel for the victims and those who are impacted, and we are praying for and hope for the those who could be fearful of his being released because they are concerned about retaliation. So, guys, I'm gonna step back a little bit. Would you? I'm just gonna put this in your hands. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? Here we are. Do we think? And I'm gonna ask this as an honest question. Do you think that the prosecution? I heard a conspiracy today. Mm-hmm. The question was, did the prosecution put on their best case? Because even prior to this, there was some talk from analysts that said that they did not prove their case. They didn't think they proved their case. So when you're talking about the experienced attorneys, I heard Judge Mathis say this just the other day when he was on Vlad. So the conspiracy is that Trump kind of had a backhand in this to make sure that it was an easy out because there was a concern of his implication in some of the things that went on. So I don't know, but I at least put it out there. What do you guys feel about this whole thing?
Go ahead, Myneca.
Well, all I can say is that every attorney is not equal. So money can buy justice. That is for sure. I always thought the RICO case was a little weak to begin with, honestly. I'm not an attorney, but just from my lay understanding, I always thought the RICO case was very weak. However, the prostitution, I'm not surprised, and I believe that video with him, that was definitely an indicator that she was not free to leave. So that charge, I know it's going to stick. Those two charges of prostitution will likely stick. And they're saying there's at least 10 that he could serve up to 10 years each, and which is a total of 20. But then you look at sentencing and what the sentencing looked like. That's up to 10 years for each one of those charges.
Right.
But as far as I know, Diddy doesn't have a record.
Right.
Exactly.
No record.
So if he doesn't have a record, they'll probably get that those charges lessened, or maybe even to a point, unfortunately, that time has been served.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Really been in there. So do not be surprised if P. Diddy walk away from this case. He'll walk away, with the reputation, with the poor reputation. But it also brings clarity to how we idolize celebrities.
Exactly.
Idolize people in positions of power. And I believe that we will continue to see these type of cases come up because individuals get themselves caught up in situations where they place themselves in positions because their needs are more stronger than their wants are more stronger than their actual needs.
Right.
To get there. And so I don't know if we will ever not see this case again with someone else, because I believe that we will. And Diddy, I hope he will learn from this. I don't think it has to be a humbling experience. He's been in prison for nearly a year.
Okay.
He's been in jail for nearly a year. But people were coming to him. He was probably getting some special privileges in there. And
that.
Rapping, thing. He probably have a kind of artist he's gonna sign, once he gets out of this mess here. But I said this is a classic case of, someone that is perverted in how he leads and how he leads organization, really how he lives his life. And I just pray for Diddy to become a better person after this. I don't think he will, but he is perverted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he's a very sick man.
You know what?
Sad.
Right.
And he'll probably get away with it because he has so much money.
Yes, he has the money. Yes, he has the notoriety. Yes, he has the so-called perceived clout in the industry. And what this verdict should tell all of us is you can reach a point that, no, it's not reaching a point, but it proves once again that, money still reigns supreme. And if you have the money and you can put together a dream team of lawyers and attorneys, just like Trump said he could stand on, what was the Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody literally. You can't get away with anything pretty much so, because if this was me, if it was Darryl or Bishop or any of our nephews, it would be a different outcome altogether. Mm-hmm. I agree with you 100%, Myneca. The RICO case, I think they just threw that in there trying to just get something with that was more substantial. But they knew that wasn't going to fly. And, from day one, from when they first announced the charges and arrested him, I just said, it's going to be very hard to prove a RICO case and stuff like that. Having some similarities and elements of RICO tendencies is not enough to make it a RICO case.
That's right.
But the only place I differ, Myneca, and I admire you so much, and I have nothing but respect for you. I told you I'm just getting tired. I don't waste my prayers on some people no more. Some people, I'm actually at the point I said, look, God, you made them, they're yours. You deal with them. Because the one thing I do know, just from being partially engaged with the industry as an artist and stuff like that, corruption has been a part of the industry since day one. But again, it's like, you could have these people who, you got Clive Davis and you got all these other, rest in peace. You had Quincy Jones and all these other makers and shakers. But Kennedy said it way back, and I was a little kid when I heard this quote that they attributed to Kennedy. And he says, behind every fortune, there's a crime. Behind every fortune, there's a crime. And this just proves that. And my only issue and my only prayer is that the people who support these celebrities, who buy into making them demigods and all that, I just pray the shackles be removed from the eyes of the people to understand they are nothing but another human being who've just unfortunately been able to, develop, create, and sustain a platform to sell their wares. Because at the end of the day, one thing I heard at the funeral the other day, and I had wrote a song about this about 30, 40 years ago. We don't own a thing. At the end of the day, we don't own nothing. Everything we have, even our time, is on borrowed time. All the things, my kids put it in perspective for me one day. And this was maybe about, my family, my son and daughter, and my wife and I, we used to love to have, just like I said, conversations around the dinner table or sitting in the family room. And I one day had my ego just shattered because I posed the question to my children, well, what are you all going to do when I, whenever God does call me home and I pass away? And my son was quick to tell me, all of that jewelry, all of them clothes, we selling everything. And that put it in perspective for me because, like I said, and one of the old preachers, one of those things said, you've never seen a U-Haul behind a hearse. But Diddy, to me is what I'm tired of, and what I'm really broken, and I'm just praying that God would just give me more, whatever it is I need to just get away from this feeling of despair and not hopelessness, but I'm just so sick of seeing people get away with stuff. I mean, I'm so sick of seeing people blatantly flaunt stuff in your face. Diddy is one of the most despicable, worthless persons. I'm trying to bridle my tongue here.
Good job.
Exactly. I have seen, I've seen firsthand the collateral damage that's done by these people in the industry who know all they have to do is dangle a carrot in front of you saying, I can help you make it. And these people will sell their souls, their bodies, their integrity, their character. They will sell every moral fiber within their being just on the pretense of a false promise that they may be helped. I mean, Darryl, you've been a part of the industry. Everybody out there is out to get something. And there's nobody out there so-called helping somebody without something. It's a cost to it. You've had some good people who, like I said, I salute, like I said, Tyler Perry for employing more than 10,000 people, in his films and in his businesses and companies and all. But nobody is immune to it because he too, excuse me, he too now, look at the guy who he put on camera, now suing him for, what is it, $250 million? Yeah. And I'm up here like, I have conversations with God. I have so much time to just really have conversations with God. And I don't know if it's just that my time is winding up here. I do know I got more days behind me than ahead of me, but I'm at the point, that breaking point, and just like America to me is on the brink of just tickering on total destruction, just like the Roman Empire. We're about to fall. And when you see the people who are trying to do it the right way, you see people out here, and this is my conversations with all the young people when I do conferences and be a lecturer at some of the seminars and workshops and all that stuff. I'm always reaching out to the young people to try to get them to understand that all you have is your name, and don't bring shame to the name. And to see Diddy, like I said, because of his high-profile lawyers, realistically, and just like the Teflon Orange Man has been able to, everybody says, how can he get away with all this? Because after he got the 34 convictions, everybody knew that was it. He's going to go to jail now. And we see, and that judge intentionally said, well, we'll put off. He could have sentenced Trump that day and at least put him in jail. But he didn't do that. And here we have now Diddy. And like you, Myneca, said, and you said it earlier, Darryl, I'm convinced that the judge is going to take that same recommendation from his attorneys that, okay, they've acquitted him of these charges. I mean, he's never been convicted before. He doesn't have a record. Mm-hmm. So he's already paid Cassie, what was it, $50 million? I think $30 million. He gave her $30 million in the past to try to keep her quiet. So at the end of the day, he's going to be right back at home. Yes, he's lost some of his following. Yes, he's lost his, what I perceive as his integrity, as being somebody who has morals and character. But he still has enough people surrounding him who will prop him up, dust him off, just like they do preachers. And he'll be right back in the pulpit of debauchery and everything else. He'll still be doing his freak offs, because that's the thing about people who get away with stuff. They believe they become.
I was saying, if I was his attorney, walking out of there, I would say, you have had your last party.
Exactly. Yeah, that would make sense.
If I was his attorney, that would be the first thing coming out of my mouth, out of that courthouse.
But he's too arrogant to listen to that. He has no regard for his attorneys. He has no regard for the people he's hurt. Diddy has reached a level. And like you said, the reason it came in like this, because like I said, I believe the jury pool was already tainted, because at the end of the day, Diddy had the goods on a lot of powerful people. You had people out there, like sitting like this, waiting for this verdict to come in, because some of the top elite people in the industry have been caught up in his shenanigans, have been caught up, has been visitors and has been partakers in his freak offs and his parties and all that kind of stuff. This didn't just start when Cassie came along. I mean, this goes way back to the 90s when he first, the late 80s, when he first started trying to make a name for himself. And so, like I said, once he got in the good grace of Clive Davis, and I can say that much, that gives you a get out of jail card. When you get connected to the right, person who has the complexion for the protection, you can get away with, darn near anything. And it's been proven. So my fear and concern is that Cassie and all those other people who work with him and have been a part of his organization who testified against him, they need to be worried. They really need to be worried because his ego is too big.
Yeah.
What's that?
So,
he's coming back for him. He's coming.
When it comes,
I want retribution.
Yeah, I want to say that the jury is probably less tainted than we think, but it's all in the instructions that the judge gives to them that were determined by how this case was tried between the prosecutor
and
the attorney. So it depends on that. They may have had so many restrictions going into thanks. They may have had so many restrictions going in to make a determination of these charges. And this is one of the things that I have seen attorneys do all the time, especially prosecuting attorneys, because they're not quite as swift as defense attorneys.
Exactly.
It's like, you can kind of get in your own head. You're in, you're in a position where there's a lot of people that are around you that are supporting you, but you're not really understanding how a defense attorney is going to approach everything that you come out. You throw those charges out, the defense attorney is going to work, and they're going to we need to chop down each one of these charges, and this is how we can do it.
And so that's how we do it. Yeah.
Exactly. So you have someone like Sean Combs, and he has one attorney show up, and all one or two show up. But there's probably 50 attorneys that are working.
Yes, exactly.
Working on every single one of these charges to bust down this case. So it's really very difficult for a prosecuting attorney to really come up against a top.
You may at best in a prosecuting. At best, in a prosecuting attorney's office, you may have 5 people on the case.
Exactly.
And they have multiple cases.
Right, and they have a multiple caseload. In this case, because it's high profile, it's Southern District, I think, or Eastern District of New York, one of the most high profile section of the Justice Department. But that's still against an army of, like you said, of a big law firm. 40 lawyers, paralegals, investigators, psychologists. They're going to deploy an army to compromise the case that's being made. But if and this graphic is courtesy of ABC News. If you notice, he's only guilty of that which is transportation to engage in prostitution. Anything that would be what we would consider the big kickers, he got off of. He got off of racketeering, and he got off of sex trafficking.
Okay, but look at the graphic. Just looking at the graphic, how can you be guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution, but not guilty of sex trafficking by force after we saw the video where he held her, coerced her to stay, and the fraud of trying to cover it up and all that. See, that's what I meant when I said.
Well, the argument basically is because that transportation to engage in prostitution was the same statute that took down the boxer Jack Johnson.
Right, exactly.
So we got to remember
I remember that.
That's what took down Jack Johnson.
I was thinking about that earlier.
And
but he did
the
that
man, well,
because
the Man Act.
But he flew them across state lines just to engage in this kind of stuff. And I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it because you're not guilty.
Because it's a thing where he could have transported the prostitute for his own personal pleasure, but not necessarily to make money off of or to pass them around, if that makes any sense.
But it does make sense. That's the point. Yes. He passed them around. That's trafficking. That is trafficking.
That right. That should be right. But they were able to convince the jury that he did not meet the threshold to be found guilty of trafficking, because I think they just made it enough of a reasonable doubt that
that's all they needed. That he
passed and he really passed them around. Was this forcible? Was this consensual? And all of that. Right. Yeah. But we know, being from the industry, that we have what we consider I would call it forced consensuality. Okay. Basically, if you want a career, you're going to do this. That's how. That's how the industry is.
And that's the coercion right there. I mean, but we know it is because, like you said, he had over 50 lawyers working on this case, and it's going to cost him millions and millions of dollars. But you see the end result. I mean, that's all
he has. Right. You know. He could have paid $50 million, and in this case, that's money well spent for him. I mean,
right.
You
so
know,
at the end of the day, he's going to keep on doing what he's doing. But unfortunately for him, what he better be worried about is the fact that these victims also have family members, and we're living in a society now. I'm seeing it more and more. Especially with these cops. I don't wish nothing. Let me be on record saying I have never in my life, nor will I ever wish anything bad. I don't condone violence. I don't condone people going out and taking, judgment in their own hands, so to speak. But he better be worried about some of the family members of the people who he's hurt, because at the end of the day, he's not untouchable. And even though he may feel that he has all of this, power and stuff like that, and has been empowered to do even more, he better be worried, because just like in the drug game, one of his lieutenants might be ready to take him out because he has already shed too much light on the inside wheelings and dealings, and everybody's not going to be happy with that. So let me read that. What does it say?
Well, we want to make sure we don't forget, the people involved, and as the front face of this is Cassie, of course. It's others, but Cassie is the front face of this. So her attorneys did come out with a statement saying, by coming forward with her experience, Cassie has left an indelible mark on both the entertainment industry and the fight for justice. She displayed unquestionable strength and brought attention to the realities of powerful men in our orbit and the misconduct that has persisted for decades without repercussion.
That's it.
And that is from her legal counsel. So we do send our best to her and all the others that are involved in this. We know that's not going to be an easy road now moving forward. But I think that we have learned one thing through that we actually knew all along.
Right.
We know money can buy you freedom.
Oh yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
and when there's enough power and connection and persuasion, this is what can actually happen. I do think that one thing that social media has done, it has made us a much more closer together, which also, even though celebrity has always been put way up here because of the accessibility, and we feel closer to our celebrities now, it's more people today that are not in Diddy's corner as there would have.
Oh yeah. Now,
prior
to the
social media, right? Prior to the social media age. So now the things have changed to some degree concerning that. Now, let's see what happens moving forward. His statement was, "I'm coming home, baby." That's what he said back to. That's what he said back to his family, and things like that. But has he learned his lesson, or has he used this as a shift moment for himself? That's remained to be seen. Reggie, I don't think you have too much confidence in him.
Leopard don't change his spots. He's still the same person. So
right.
Yeah. I think
he'll be back at it.
He'll be right back at it. He's gonna be worse because now he thinks he's. And I could hear him. I could actually hear him in my own ears saying that I beat him. And with his kind of mindset and mentality, he is going to get more deeply entrenched with his foolishness. And like I said, karma does have a way of coming back around to your front door. And he's going to do something stupid, and either one or two things going to happen. He's going to get caught with his hand in the cookie jar another time, or somebody else is going to end it for him because they are just appalled the fact that he got away. And I guarantee you, you wait till 7 o'clock tonight, 8 o'clock, or the late news, he's going to be all over every news channel talking about how he beat him. I got away with it. You know, they had nothing on me. I knew they was just all coming after me because of who I am and my money. That's his mindset. But God has the final say. God has the final say.
Yeah,
but he hasn't learned nothing. I can guarantee you he has not learned anything. And his mindset is that now I've done it. I beat that. He's going to work on now how he can even do even more. You know, so it's going to come back to his front door again.
It's definitely something that we are going to put a pin in, and we want to see how this plays out. And we need to
continue.
To be continued. Exactly.
I would say over the next couple of years, to tell you the truth, and see what happens here.
There's more chapters written. Yeah.
So last week we talked about the ladies and I'm sorry, the result from we had a listener to respond. So I want to thank you for your comments, and it was something Myneca had said that resonated with that individual, and
great.
I do want to thank you guys. Just keep on sending us any messages.
Please.
Let us know so that we're not just talking to the wind. We want to make sure that we are actually hitting the target a little bit. So
absolutely,
I do want to thank y'all for that, because it allows us to know that we are talking about something that matters to you.
Yes.
We're here for you, so we want to make sure that we do that. And also just make sure you do like, share, and subscribe to everything that we have here on the channel. Like I said, we have some wonderful broadcasters and some podcasters that'll be on here. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I think that was I think we had an earful just between these two things.
Yes.
But we have guys, make sure you just keep on praying that God convicts these Congress people somewhere out here, so that you can at least go get your checkups and have at least get a lunch here and there at school for the kids. Exactly. So let's hope that all things go well in turn in everybody's favor. Well, everybody, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Make sure you tune in next time here on the What Now podcast. This is Darryl Elliott with Myneca Ojo and Regi McClurkin, Archbishop Chase, on his behalf. And we'd love to see you next week. God bless.
God bless. Take care. See you next time.